So Wells and Fargo, one of the most known banks in the US, have to pay $3 billion in fine. This is what just was announced on last Friday through the SEC, and what you need to know and how the stock reacted, all about it here in this video. So make sure to thumb up this video, and before we diving in, this is one of the most traditional San Francisco based banks in the whole US. Wells and Fargo has, they have tradition since a couple of hundreds years, and one of the oldest companies in the US, and they had just the scandal that is going on. It's nothing new, maybe a decade or even longer. And what happened is actually that Wells and Fargo, or the bank industry in general, works a lot with commissions. So imagine the following: your bank advisor want to open you a bank account to charge you or to offer you a credit card. And for example, here in the Middle East, you have even stands and malls where the banks trying to sell you some bank accounts, or bring you into that you put your money into the company, and they can charge you some services. As once you have your money in the bank, most probably you hold it for a long time, and therefore this business is based on commissions, and is lot of customers is better, and they had quite of sales targets that they had to achieve. And so it started around 10 years ago, where some correct numbers came up, and therefore the SEC looked into this thing and discovered that actually Wells and Fargo management and employees made fake accounts, make fake services, make fake income statements, and so on and so forth. So big thing. And even the US state said that they want to investigate not only into a criminal case about the overall company, but also individual cases, like the CEO has to pay $17 million. I don't know his salary, but it seems maybe a small piece of money considering the thing. But what really is concerning me is the image hit that this company will get, because as we know, this company is also a darling of the biggest and best investor on our lifetime, Warren Buffett. He has actually $20 billion in Wells Fargo stock, and he made about $10 billion profit on them, because he is holding it such a long time, and during this time the stock went up. And therefore it's quite interesting that what Warren Buffett will say to that. But obviously, as a big shareholder, we will just go into the stock in a second, because we will see how much he owns of the company and how the stock reacted. And therefore, without further ado, let's dive into the stock. Now, as you can see, you say nothing, because actually the stock didn't move at all, just a couple of percent plus. So not a big crash that maybe some people were expecting, because this is going on for so long. And actually it's a good thing. It actually is a good thing that this case is actually closed for now, and no further investigations are going on. And $3 billion sounds a lot of money, but actually Wells and Fargo made around $19 billion last year in profit alone. And therefore it's quite impressive that this is like 10% for such a big scandal. And the overall market cap of this company is around 200, and Warren Buffett is holding $20 billion of that. So he is around having 10% of Wells Fargo holding as one position in his whole overall portfolio. And diving a little bit into the decision by the US government, following statements were made. This case illustrates a complete failure of leadership at multiple levels within the bank, said US Attorney Nick Hanna. So actually with this case and this decision, they avoid further prosecution, which is good for the overall with clients and on the market. Moreover, they included in this $3 billion fine or payment that they have to make also a $500 million civil penalty to be distributed by the SEC to investors. So as you can see, over the last couple of years, obviously the investors that put maybe a lot of money, a lot of savings into this company, and then they couldn't do anything, but the management decided to make these frauds inside the company, and therefore they got affected. And the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission in the US, is responsible for making sure that this don't happen, first of all. Second, that it will be prosecuted. And third, that investors are getting compensated for eventual losses. What actually will happen here for the investors? Now, let's dive into the conclusion, what we will make out of that. Now we know Wells & Fargo is one big whale in the bank industry. Now this kind of scandals are happening from time to time, especially the bank sector in 2007, 2008 saw and showed us how banks sometimes work a little bit dirty to make this profit. This is, obviously sometimes I think you see the scandals all in all. Also different other industries like Johnson & Johnson had this scandal with the asbestos in the baby powder for our health of our children. Then we had the scandal with VW, with the Dieselgate was also scandalous for our environment, for our planet. And now the big bank with the scandal that affected so many customers, was so faking numbers, and this scale. This is something that happened from time to time on the stock market, because if investors invest into the companies, they are also short sellers on the market. They're trying to see what's going on behind the curtain. Is there something that is a little bit dirty that I can drag on? Is there something that is a little bit fishy into the numbers? Because remember, every stock company on the market, every publicly traded company need to release every quarter a full statement of earnings, of cash flow, of expenses, of debt. And specialists in the accounting methods, they are reading every single letter in this quarter's reports and then finding things. And when they find something, for example, Mr. Marco Poulos is someone that specialized in this as well. He's looking for frauds and other things. He discovered Enron, for example, and now is hitting on General Electric. I made a vlog about this if you are interested here on this channel. But however, you see that this kind of dirty things are happening on the stock market. With where big money is, more big money is going to be wanted. As this is capitalism. Obviously, I think if there would be more investigations, I think there will be more things to find. But on the other hand, these big companies are creating massive amount of jobs and further contribution to our economy. And therefore, if they pay the price, if it's according to the SEC, if everyone agrees on something, this is a glad moment for Wells & Fargo, because now they can look into the future. Also, the CEO who was responsible for all of this, or to be taken in the responsibility of all of this, was removed, obviously, and also banned from other being in the banking sector, which is good for all of us. So you don't have to be scared that he is now jumping into the next company and doing things similar to that ever again. And therefore we can be happy, Wells & Fargo can be happy to move on from here. And I'm thinking that Warren Buffett, without giving a statement until now, maybe I will give an update on that, but I'm very curious what he has to say to that.
In an unpredictable stock market, there is a wolf. In Dubai, YouTube. Who knows what he is vlogging about? Make sure to subscribe.
In there, cow and the more 6.
Wolf of Dubai. Available right now for free on YouTube.